Hello everyone, and welcome back to OWC World Cup 2022 for the extremely rare Friday match. That's right, do not adjust your television screens. We are indeed featuring a match on a Friday. It's going to be played between Team Romania and Team Russia, and there is a little bit of backstory required for this one, so we're going to bring up the bracket here and show you a little bit of what's going on. So for those who are not aware, last weekend, a player from China was determined to be cheating, and therefore Team China was disqualified from the tournament. They had beaten teams Romania and Russia in the semifinals week. Therefore, those two teams were both reinstated into the tournament. And so we're going to be rewinding the clock just a little bit here. Pretend for a moment that we're still in semifinals week. The finals will be starting tomorrow. And we'll be going back to semifinals week for a match between Romania and Russia that will determine who faces the United States in the losers bracket this week in the finals stage. So that should, hopefully, give a little bit of a background, give you an idea of kind of what's going on here. Romania, Russia. You've got some very strong players on both sides. Both, unfortunately, fell last week to China. So they're getting a second chance, a little bit of a second lease on life. I'm this one guy. I'm going to be joined, I believe, in a moment or two here. We'll find out who it's going to be. Okay, it's going to be Dio, who is trapped in a Canadian blizzard. Dio is going to be joining us. Welcome to the cast, Dio. We've just been talking about what's going on, that this match is being played and why.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the warm welcome. I could use a warm welcome after walking home a kilometer in a foot of snow that has all dropped within the last 24 hours. Welcome to Canada, I suppose, for me. Yeah, this match, I don't know how much you've talked about so far as to why this match is being replayed, but this is on the semifinals map pool. With the semifinals format. That means best of 11, 2 bands on the previous week's pool. Why don't you talk about exactly why that is happening?
Well, fortunately, I did already do that. So that is the part that you missed. So the viewers, at the very least, are aware of what's going on with this situation here and why we're going back a week. So, yeah, they get to know what's going on there. These two teams, we've seen both a bit of last week in their losses, and now we get to see one of them with a win. One of these two teams will get to advance onward into top 6, which is pretty exciting for one of these squads. Obviously, it does appear that on paper, Russia was a little bit stronger based on the results that they had, but it's tough when you had a Romania team that was maybe not playing quite at their best and is now getting that kind of second lease on life here. And they had, some issues with their team that hopefully will be kind of alleviated now. And I think Romania can put up a good fight against Russia in a match that, I think we would have liked to see and now are getting to, fortunately.
Yeah, we talked about this matchup quite a bit on a podcast on Wednesday, and it really is kind of a classic story for Russia, where this team is likely going to want to pick into a lot of the mechanics-based maps, pick into the double times, pick into the mechanics-based hard rocks, and Romania is going to try to beat them on aim. They are going to try to beat them on stuff like the no mod 1, the hidden 1, potentially things like the free mod 1, and they're going to be trying to beat them on more gimmicky stuff as well, things like the hidden 3, the hard rock 3, things like that do play into the strengths of some of the less conventionally strong players on the side of Romania. Let Russia pick into the mechanics and maybe try to take a break point on stuff like No Mod 2. We do have very strong players for that sort of map on the side of Romania, like Eternum, who has been one of their carries for several years now. So looking towards those sorts of players on Romania to make the difference. But Russia, definitely the favored team, I think, in this matchup. Still very strong on things like the No Mod 3, the No Mod 5. Still very strong on things like the Hard Rock 3, which are probably picks for Romania against a lot of other teams. So we'll see how well Russia is able to take advantage of those strengths and whether Romania can keep them from taking a break point on some of those more contested picks.
And this is, another scenario where it feels, as you're kind of outlining, it feels like a lot of the picks and bans were sort of almost set in stone from the outset. There was a little bit of a wrinkle there as we got through those bans really quickly. But the Hard Rock 2 ban coming out from Romania is a little bit of an adjustment because, you would have kind of, I think, expected them to ban free mod 2 and a DT 2, 3, or 4, basically. But instead, leaving that free mod 2 available, banning 1 DT and the Hard Rock 2. Russia, they keep that hidden too. Nobody gets, this is such the standard, right? Like you said, you expect these sorts of picks and bans coming into this match. Russia, though they may be good at gimmick, Romania is kind of known for that with a player like Badu. Hidden 2 free mod 3, very straightforward bans that, we've had all but one match banning Hidden 2 this week, and that one match didn't play it anyway. Free mod 3, a very popular map for a lot of teams to avoid as well if they don't feel comfortable with those gimmicks. And then we get a No Mod 5 first pick from Romania. I think, based on what you were saying, right, this is Romania picking into their gimmick, and it's picking into a skill set that typically will favor them in a lot of matchups.
Yeah, for those who forget how this map looked like last weekend, absurd aim control, absurd finger control. You have things like 1-4 doubles into, I think they're 1-12.
112 or 116 or something. It's such that the client doesn't like it.
Yeah, it breaks the client. This map is so gimmicky that it breaks the client. So we're going to be potentially ignoring some of the misses that happen on this map because they tend to be false about half of the time on this map because it is such a gimmicky pick that the tournament client just kind of breaks a bit. So we'll keep you updated on which of those are actually real and which are false as the client gets to reset itself. And in the case where this is a close map, I would also not trust the score at the bottom of the screen because the client tends to be wrong on this map because of all those false misses. So we'll check the MP link as well at the end of this one and make sure that the score at the end is correct. However, it looks like a few real misses coming out of the side of Russia here. 3 breaks already for them, 2 on Eternum and Lucrece for Romania as we get into the first really tricky section in this map. Looks like a break for Raze as well. We'll see if that one stays put or not. But even if it does, Lucrece and Badu still holding big combo. That break for Badu is not a real one. That is still an FC on Badu. Vitya's, however, was real for Russia, and that is now 1 FC to none in the favor of Romania. Good first pick to start out for them.
Yeah, and you saw the score, like we were talking about, just kind of took a random jump toward Romania. This is the client having a lot of trouble syncing up these scores, but this was, if you were going to first pick anything that was left through the bans, I think this was probably the most obvious for Romania, just because you have Badu, who you can pretty much guarantee a really solid score on this on, and you look at the other side on Russia, and they're just not having the greatest of time. There's no combos over there at all, and Badu is maybe finally breaking. We'll see. That looked like an X, so I think that's an actual break. But 530k is top scoring lobby by a fair margin. This is going to be Romania kind of running with this. I think this was always going to be a pick that they were going to win. I don't know that there's really a route into this particular map for Russia. So I don't know, just a good first pick here on the side of Romania. They had some time to plan this out and come into it with a strong option for the first map of the match. And that's 1-0.
Nothing unexpected here. Very, very good score from Badu, 610k. You can see there, Vitya and Din putting up really solid scores for Russia as well, both outscoring anyone else on the side of Romania. This gimmick roster for Russia is not bad. This is still a relatively good gimmick team in the side of Russia. It's just that on picks like this, Badu in particular is so good that it doesn't matter.
Yeah, he really can single-handedly sway that sort of outcome, and did quite easily. It's one of those occasions where, it's a pool where we're just at that stage, I think, where we're on the cusp of becoming truly solo carryable. So there are a couple of maps like that one that are solo carryable for a player who is really good at a particular gimmick. And then there's some other maps where you're going to need a whole team, but I think if Romania can pick into at least that type of thing where Badu can solo carry, they'll be able to get a couple points on the board. This, on the other hand, going into DT3, the DNB DT very slider aim and tapping intensive map. This is the sort of thing where you need to have basically a full team for, because there are going to be several players doing well on this, so it kind of flips to the other way. And Russia is just much deeper at speed, so this was always going to be an early pick for them.
Yeah, I mean, this is and has been a very, very good pick for Russia throughout the entire tournament, let alone just the, semifinals. is something that Russia pretty much always goes into. This map is a little bit gimmicky by comparison to a lot of the other double time 3 picks that we have had in the tournament so far. But the end result is still the same, and the fact that Russia's speed players also tend to be relatively well-rounded. For example, you still have Chikone and Din in on this sort of map. It means that the finger control aspects, the slider aim aspects, don't really matter as much on this pick for Russia as they do for a lot of other speed teams who, and we saw talking throughout the semifinals weekend about how this pick is, a slider aim pick, a finger control pick, and not a speed pick. Well, for Russia, that doesn't really matter as much because their players are still going to be good at all of those different aspects. And that's kind of goes back to what you were saying, Aaron, about how deep this team can go on their speed rosters and why, no matter what kind of variance you get in the type of map in DT, Russia tends to be good at it every single time. And that's why you see them pick into it over and over and over and over again against pretty much everybody.
Yeah, this type of map is the reason that Russia is seeded as highly as they are in this tournament as well. They top scored a couple of DTs back in the qualifiers and have just looked really good at the skill set the entire time. They played this twice last weekend, once in their first match against France, and then again in the match that is no longer relevant but was played against China originally. And they put up a 3.3 million and a 2.9 million, so only a 400k variance between those two performances. And both of those won by a minimum of like 800,000 against the score that Romania put up in their original match. So you can kind of see the consistency of this Russian team on maps like this that a lot of teams are not as consistent on, but there are a couple of these top really strong tapping teams that will do well in these no matter what happens. Though we do see this time around, we've got Satono Diamond Nanoya coming in, who was the missing player for a lot of that match Romania played last weekend, joining Rolly, Lucris, and Eternum. So they do have a roster that's capable of doing well, but the consistency of Russia is probably just going to be a little higher on this one, so they're favored on this pick, I would say.
Yeah, Romania, when they played this versus China earlier last weekend, had Lucris and Eternum getting 99% accuracy, so those are good scores, but they missed in the middle and got 600k, 650k. And Rolly getting 95 AC, but an S rank as well at 520k. So that's a score that, despite being, number 12 on the map over the weekend, could have been much higher. And we'll see here if Satono Diamond and if a second try on this map can make the difference for Romania. Din having a little bit of trouble on this map once again for Russia. Did have some trouble in their match versus China as well. Rolly and Lucris going to find breaks for Romania, though, so the 3-way full combo, now 2-way for Russia as Chikone finds the miss there. Satono Diamond and Eternum versus Voprosov and Apostle. Voprosov going to find a miss for Russia as well. Now everyone finding some inconsistency on this pick, it seems, for both teams, as it's now only Apostle, Satono Diamond, and Eternum left up. That missing player making a huge difference for Romania right now as they are on track to a breakpoint halfway through. Eternum is still on 99% AC for the full combo, and Apostle matching with better accuracy as well. But the supporting combos are good for Romania, the 2 FCs are good for Romania, and this looks to be a breakpoint, all things staying the same here in the second half.
Yeah, we have seen some players putting up big combos and having a little bit of trouble in the back half of this pick. It does pick back up after this break, but this is exactly what Romania needed coming out of that match last weekend to kind of pick themselves up, right? It was to come into an early pick from their opponents and put up a really, really strong score. 2 FCs this far through versus before when they had Eternum not playing maybe at his best. They had Satono Diamond not playing most of those maps. Now they're kind of firing on all cylinders. They're really back on track. Got the couple of breaks from Russia that they needed. There goes a Postal. So that is now all of the FCs gone from Russia, and they would need a full-scale collapse from Romania to make it back into this one, which does come from Rolly and Lucris both breaking, but the 2 FCs are still alive, crucially, for the Romanian side to keep this lead.
And this looks to be a 2-0 start for Romania. When we were talking on our podcast about this matchup, I outlined a path to victory for Romania. What they needed to do, they need to win the gimmick picks, and they need to take a break point on one of these trickier speed picks from Russia. Well, here it comes. Breakpoint for Romania by over 500,000 score, the double FC for Satono Diamond and Eternum, doing so much work for them here to give them a 2-0 lead and a potential path into the top 6.
Yeah, this is just, Eternum, That was so sad. No way, he just broke there. Oh man, it's a 3-way S rank. It would have been a 4-way S rank if Eternum hadn't just trolled the ending of that. But that's, I mean, flipping the script on that map as much as you could possibly hope for. If you're Romania, you go from getting, what was it, a 2.1 million team score. You flip it around and all of a sudden you're getting it's gone now, 3.4. I mean, that's a 1.3 million point increase with basically a double FC and 2 solid backing scorers. Meanwhile, Russia just unfortunately dropped off a bit compared to what happened last time they played this. And all of a sudden this looks a little interesting to start things off, because Romania, instead of playing from behind the way that they were stuck doing, are now in the driver's seat. They start off with a good pick on their own. They start off with a solid break point of their own. And now they get their own pick again, and there's still some gimmick stuff left that they can go into. Russia has been a team that's not looked super great on Hidden. There's 2 Hiddens available in this pool. There's a couple free mods that Romania could look into if they wanted to go that route. I mean, the world is kind of their oyster all of a sudden because of this early break point. Those can be so important, and this one really, I think, is.
Yeah, let's put into perspective just how big of a deal this breakpoint is and how huge of an overperformance this is from Romania. They went from dead last on that DT3, they were the number 12 score, dead last on the pick by almost 500,000 points. The next worst score was a 2.6 million from China compared to Romania's 2.1 million. To now the number 3 score on the map behind only Canada and Germany. I mean, that is a massive overperformance for Romania on that pick. So to be able to get that breakpoint in such dominating fashion really opens the door to so many other things, and also perhaps inspires some confidence for Romania on things like the DT1, which are still left open, right? Very awkward aim focused DT map, and something that Russia, yes, has had a good time on, but now can't be as sure of a win on versus this Romania squad that just put up a huge score on that DT3. And now, you mentioned some of the free mods. They're going to go into this free mod 1 pick. Very awkward, aim-focused, consistency-based free mod pick. And I do think this is something that is going to be good for Romania. You force somebody from Russia to take the Hidden. You force the rest of them onto a relatively low approach rate, awkward, high-density sort of aim consistency pick. And it's something that Russia is not very good at. This Russian roster is great at hard rock aim and great at DT aim, but not good at hidden aim, not good at nomad aim, and not good at these awkward aim free mod picks. So very, very solid pick strategy from Romania, and it should be a solid map for them overall. We'll see once everyone finally loads in as we get Badu the Crease on the nomad, Razé on hidden, Eternum on hard rock, Welter and Vakman on the nomad for Russia, Ciccone on hard rock, and Testrapivka on hidden.
Yeah, of course, Tester, the hidden player du jour for Russia. He's their standard hidden kind of fill-in roster slot, looking to see what kind of performance we get out of the hidden players in this, because this is pretty tricky with hidden only. Worth noting, I do want to point out, Romania did not put up a great score on this last week, but, they were number 10 out of 12 for overall on that map. But if the first couple of maps of this match so far are any indication, Romania's having a much better day today, at least early on, than they did last week. So again, picking a map that they didn't do super well on after winning a map that they previously didn't do super well on but did incredibly on today, goes to show that I think Romania was really able to reset things over the course of this week, right? Where they find out that they get another chance in the bracket, they can get the mental improved from whatever issues they may have been having and get some extra time to practice and feel a little more confident in some of these picks. So it's very important, I think, for them to take this pick as well, but it's also indicative of just the team mindset going into this match being, I think, much more positive than it may have been previously. And they're going to start off with just a little bit of a lead thanks to that early break from Welter, who is at about half combo compared to everyone else. There's 7 FCs still on the board, but that is going to create about a 100,000 point lead. Also, that accuracy pretty similar, but a little bit higher for Romania. That's a double break. That's a slider break from Eternum and Lucrece. We'll make sure that those were not Bancho misses, but if those were legitimate breaks, which it appears that they were, this score is going to be headed back the way of Russia. There's a lot of slider aim in this one. It is possible to have slider breaks like that happen, especially on Hard Rock. Eternum had some struggles as the Hard Rock player on some of the maps last week, so that's going to be lead for Russia now.
That lead's a pretty big deal. We are halfway through now with still 3 full combos on Russia. 2 of them are modded full combos, so that does mean that it's going to be harder for Russia to hold on to some of these full combos. And there goes Chikone, as I talk about, the modded full combos. Hey, they're a little bit harder to hold on to for good reason. There goes Raze, though, and that is now all but Badu gone for Romania, the only full combo remaining for them. Welter's going to reset once again for Russia, so it's not as big of a deal. You have a little bit of sporting combo on both Eternum and Lucrece, but the 2-way full combo for Vakman and Testapivka is a better deal for Russia than 1 FC on Badu and 2 supporting combos for Romania. You do have the matching score, but yeah, this hidden full combo for Testapivka is doing a lot of work for Russia right now, and the longer he can hold, the better this lead gets, and the less impactful that pop-off on DT3 gets for Romania. If Russia is able to take this breakpoint right back, then Romania unable to consolidate, no longer in the lead at that point in this match. So really, if you are rooting for Romania, if you are playing for that team, you are hoping and praying for a break to come out of either Vakman or Testapivka right now, or for Welter and Ciccone to really continuously reset here in the last quarter. But there's just not that much time left in the map. There goes Welter, but there's only a sliver of map left, and this score lead would need to come over pretty quickly here. It's over 150,000 score now for Russia. They've been slowly building up this score lead with the 2-way full combo doing that work for them. And at this point, with just a sliver of map left, even with these resets from Welter, I don't think anything is going to change at all unless we see a 2-way wipe right about now for those full combos. And it just doesn't look likely. Russia able to fire right back and take this breakpoint against Romania. Vakman and Testapivka, the MVPs here right now for Russia, keeping them competitive in this match and snuffing the lead that Romania just built for themselves in such dominating fashion on DT3.
Yeah, this is a really interesting turn of events where the teams just went back and forth, each winning a pick that looked incredibly favored for the opposing side. I mean, you talked at length right at the beginning of this map about how much worse typically you expect Russia to be on these kinds of awkward aim maps, especially with free mod, because they're generally speaking, the hidden and the awkward no mod is a little weaker for them. But MVP of this maybe entire tournament for them has been Vakman. He shows up with the no mod FC, and of course, as I said early on, Tester is their hidden player. He is the closest thing to a hidden specialist really Russia has. And he comes in and FCs with hidden and just locks that point down. And now that kind of flips things right back around, because now you have both teams, I think, a little bit second-guessing their picks. You have Russia picking DT3, losing it pretty handily, but then you have Romania picking Free Mod 1, losing it right back. So now it's a little bit more thought process going into some picks forward, but Russia's going to stick with it. They're going to stick to their guns, and they're going to say, we're going to go back into DT pool, we're going to pick another speedy, tapping-heavy map, and we're going to bet that you can't do what you just did on DT3 twice in a row.
And this map is different from DT3, right? This is far more straightforward in terms of the patterning, far less focused on slider aim and finger control, far more focused on just how well can you stream 240 BPM with double time on, right? That is the entire point of this map, is to be sort of that raw mechanics test, where if you have the speed to play it, you're gonna get a good score 9 times out of 10 on this sort of map. There is a little bit of an aim requirement, but nothing to the same degree as on DT1 or DT3, and so most of the players on Russia who you expect to be really good on those types of speedier maps are going to be good on this map as well, and I think this is kind of their testing ground. If they lose this pick, then you open up free mod 2 for Romania instead. I don't know if you open up no mod 2, but you certainly really start to second guess that free mod 2 pick for Russia if they do lose this DT2 as well, which would be a really interesting turn of events. You don't expect Romania to win this whatsoever. Fact the matter is, it was banned twice in a row against Russia, because otherwise they would have picked it both times.
Yeah, this is generally speaking, a skill set that you assign to Russia as being their best. So, like you said, it would be a pretty huge surprise. As we get a little technical difficulty while we reset here to get the map loaded in properly, it would be a pretty big surprise to see Romania pull off another breakpoint on another DT pick here. So we wait on this guy, trying to get loaded back in. It's interesting it's actually interesting to me that that this was left up in favor of DT4, but maybe do you feel like perhaps Romania just felt like either one of those would have been not great, so they took their chances on this instead?
I think Russia is just one of the best DT4 teams there is in the tournament. Maybe I think one thing that it might have to do with for Romania is that depth you were talking about for Russia, right? A lot of their good players on DT maps are also just all-rounders, and so they are also good at things like the aim control. You see them in on stuff like Nomad 5 and Nomad 3 all the time, right? Which means that on that DT4, they have that specific combination of skill sets that's really necessary to be good on that sort of map. And again, Romania bottom scored it by 500k compared to every other team in the tournament. They were 500k off of South Korea's score on it versus the United States, which was otherwise the worst score of the weekend in semifinals. So for Romania, I think it's a matter of their speed players are speed players and their gimmick players are gimmick players. And there's not much overlap between the two in terms of their skill sets. Whereas for Russia, there's a little bit more interplay at the cost of some of the skill cap on those more gimmicky sorts of picks, and especially on the aim consistency picks.
And real quick, I just want to note that it appears that this map was updated over the course of the week and is now qualified. So I don't think we're going to be able to see it played because it is not it's not loading properly in the client. Trying to see if there's somebody who is streaming this that I can take a look on theirs to see what's going on. But just to try to keep everybody updated, I think it might be the same case. Trying to find like a player who's in for this or something is proving to be a challenge. So we're going to try to get this re-downloaded and updated before it ends, but it's only a couple minutes long, so we'll see whether or not that ends up happening. Kind of unfortunate circumstances. This is just a bit of a downside of having a map played or a match played later on in the week than it was expected. Typically, the maps don't really matter anymore after Sunday. This is one of those rare cases where they do. It looks like we've got a break near the ending here. We've got Russia up by about 100,000 points. Taking a look over on a Postal stream. Yes, I am. I found a stream. So it's not. It doesn't have the score up live. So unfortunately, I can't do much more than update when they're at a break in the map. But looks like Russia is probably looking to take this. They'll be tying it up at 2 apiece, assuming that this result holds, and then things become a little tricky because we get back into Romania's pick. And now, how comfortable are you as Romania in your own picks after losing that free mod 1? That's going to be the question that they'll have to answer.
Yeah, it looks like that is a win for Russia on that map. We do see Russia actually 3.5 million.
That's a score.
Yeah, that's a really good score. That is one full combo for Voprosov, 800k for Apostle Chikoni and Din. So very, very good score for Russia. I'm just going to cross-check that with the rest of the scores we have. Yeah, that's the second best score on the map. So, I'm sorry, actually,
third best behind United States, who just did illegal things to that map, and Canada, who put up 3.7 mil. But it's still right up there.
Yeah, very, very solid team score for them. And, well, you talked about the Romanian team maybe being a little bit more unsure of their picks after that free mod 1. I think you definitely don't want to pick into something like the no mod 1 now against Russia. Those are probably the two most similar maps in the pool at this point, right? But what you can do, I think, is still be comfortable picking into stuff like the Hidden 3, the Hard Rock 3, because those are still really similar to that Nomad 5 first pick. I don't think you pick the Nomad 3 into Russia. They have seemed comfortable on it during the weekend. They put up the third best score on it against France, and they didn't have as good of a score on it against China, but that is still not a map where you want to pick it into Russia when they were able to get, the third best score on the map during the semifinals weekend. So definitely feeling like the Hidden 3 is probably the next pick for Romania, just to start getting into those sorts of aim control picks once again. And there we go, Hidden 3 for Romania.
Yeah, kind of the more gimmicky of the two Hiddens that were still remaining, right? Hidden 1 being a little more straightforward, a lot of aim, whereas this Hidden 3 is kind of alty, kind of flow aimy. Also has some very difficult portions. The KIs in this map are really, really difficult. So if you're a team that, like Russia, is maybe just a bit weaker typically on Hiddens, it becomes a pretty solid pick into that team. And so I think a pretty solid next pick here from the side of Romania. I do feel that the Nomad 3 wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, if only because of the existence of Badu, who's arguably the best Nomad 3 player there is. But I think it's better to go this map first and save that for a break glass in case of emergency kind of coin flip pick. And it looks like we might be having an issue here with Hidden 3 as well. I'm not sure because this map is ranked, so there shouldn't be any problems with it. I'm not entirely positive what's happening here. We might be getting back into it. I'll just let's just say that we might be getting back into it. We are. So Imperfect Animals, Hidden 3. Let's go.
All right, we're ready to go. Unfortunate that we didn't get to see the DT2, but Russia doing Russia things on that map, kind of performing as expected, and despite a trade of breakpoints back and forth for the teams, we are right back where you would expect this match to be after the first two picks for each of these teams, tied up 2-2 with Romania on the next pick into another aim control map. This one is not necessarily the same type of aim control as you saw in Nomad 5, where you have this absolutely massive spacing punctuated by really high velocity doubles and high beat snap doubles. This one is more about alty, low BPM stream aim consistency. There's lots of cut streams, lots of accelerating, decelerating streams in this, and it's a little bit higher BPM. It's 170 BPM rather than the 130-ish that we saw on Nomad 5. So very different sort of pick, but still generally the same players are going to be good on it. That's why you see a lot of the same players in Badu, Rosé, Satono Diamond, and Eternum, with Satono Diamond and Rosé having a little bit of trouble here at the start. Eternum as well. It's a four-way full combo for Russia with Tester, Pivka, Vitya, Welter, and Vakman all in for this. Vakman, by the way, formerly known as Gamer228666. So a very, very good gimmick player out of Russia, who also happens to be good at speed.
Yeah, he's, like I was saying before, he's been, I would argue, possibly their best performing player just in general over the course of this tournament. He's shown up on a lot of different kinds of maps and put up really good scores very consistently, so a very, very solid performer to look out for in this match as well. Typically, Vitya and Tester, two of the best hidden and kind of gimmicky players for Russia as well. Vitya did have that early break, but has historically been known as a player who's really good at maps like this. He and Vakman, though, both breaking early on, so it's 2 FCs to 1, but those backing combos for Romania are going to help things out if they can hold, which they can't, because there goes a tournament a couple more times. And it's going to be quite close going into this KI, because there's a break from Welter, so now it's down to basically Tester against the world, and Romania's got a Badu full combo and 2 big backing combos on Satono Diamond and Rosé. Going into this KI, Romania is going to be able to pull this lead back and should be able to grab it for themselves to boot as things start to progress towards the halfway mark.
Yeah, this map is largely going to be how much Badu can carry Romania. We kind of saw that on Nomad 5 as well. And I think these types of picks tend to be good for Romania, in spite of Eternum just being uncomfortable on the map. Like, he is not a hidden player. He does not want to be in for this pick. I am 99% sure. But he is here anyway to fill, because that's what you do when this pick is good for your team and you are on the team and can get the best score out of the remaining 5 players. Welter and Vakman having, again, some trouble with this map, and Tester Pivka really the only saving grace here for Russia on a potential break point on Romania's pick here, but Badu, Satono Diamond, and Rosé are all holding really, really solid scores right now. One thing to note about this map is that the ending gets way harder than the rest of the map. We'll see a gigantic accelerating stream here. This one. Badu actually misses on it. Tester Pivka misses right afterward, though. And Satono Diamond and Rosé are going to carry the pick into the ending for Romania. This is now 250,000 score and climbing, and no combos on Russia to even take advantage of any potential breaks here near the end for the 3 solid combos on Romania. And that ending stream right there gets so many players. If you are holding the full combo, the nerves just skyrocket at that point because you know the hard part here at the end is coming up. I mean, look at the spacing on these wiggles. Look at the slider aim here at the end. And you can just see why lots of players find misses during this section. Eternum finally going to drop one of them for Romania, but the 2 remaining high combo scores are just going off here now for Romania into the ending.
Dude, Satono Diamond is just pulling off an insane reverse choke play right now. He hit the entire hard part in the ending there. He hit the big stream. He hit the entire last Ki. He's going to come into the ending and FC it. That is one of the better plays you're going to see on that map this week. I know we've had 1 or 2 full combos, but Satono Diamond pulling the 3-miss reverse choke, having that break right at the beginning and then FCing the rest of the map, that did a lot to pull them into that massive lead. Rosé as well, one of those newer players on this roster, putting up the 750K. That's the second best score, not just on their team, but the second best score in the entire lobby. And that was an occasion where Romania just had the combos throughout, as you were talking about. Like, you have to hold into the hard part and then just kind of see how well you can do if you hit that big space stream, then see how you can do on the ending. This almost feels like a reverse choke map more than it feels like an FC map, because it's easier to hit that. It's easier to hit that big spaced pattern and then hit the ending if you don't have the nerves of holding onto a full combo. And Romania, also we're just always in the lead on that one. Russia didn't seem as comfortable. We talked about before, not typically a hidden favored team, and really kind of showed that on that pick. Unfortunately, not having the greatest of outcomes, but the pick does go back over to them. They do have 1 double time pick left. They also do have the free mod 2 left, so they have a couple of options if they want to stay in the same skill set they've picked into with their first couple of picks. We'll have to see if they do indeed do that, or if they zig instead of zagging here and go somewhere completely different.
Really interested to see if Russia ends up picking into the Hard Rock early on here. We saw the Hard Rock 2 ban for Romania, I think largely because Russia had a very, very good score on that against China. It is going to be No Mod 2, though. Another streamy map, so not a surprising pick for Russia. They're going to forego going into the free mod 2 or the DT1, I think largely because of the breakpoint on DT3. This map, despite having some finger control, despite having some slider streams in it, I think a little bit more straightforward than stuff like the DT1 and the free mod 2 in terms of what it tests. If you can stream 200 BPM and you have the flow aim for this, you're going to get a good score. And if you can't stream it or you don't have the flow aim, you're not going to get a good score. So these 4 players for Russia, all people you expect to see in on a map like this, good enough finger control for the couple of finger control parts in this map, and more than enough stamina to stream 200 on a semifinals pool. Romania, though, have had good stream players on their team for quite some time. Eternum, notorious for finding double S's on multiple early stage OWC No Mod 2 picks throughout the years. So somebody to really watch out for on the side of Romania on this map.
Yeah, I was going to say, you talked about, right, Russia maybe wanting to go away from the DT1 or the free mod 2 because of what happened on the DT3. But Romania's like a sneaky good Nomad 2 team. Yeah. They're not traditionally a team that you think of as a Nomad 2 team, but like you said, there's players on that side who can and probably will do quite well. That being said, Russia did put up the second best score on this map over the course of the weekend, putting up a 3 million, one of only 3 teams to do that out of the 8 that played it. So clearly you can understand where the confidence in this pick comes from on that side. But there's a world where Romania can perform incredibly well on this, and the way they've been playing on, the couple of tapping picks so far, it leaves it a little bit up in the air. They looked really good on the DT3, looked a little less good on the DT2, but this one drops that speed requirement down in favor of more raw stamina, which is something that perhaps they'll feel a little bit better about going into it. But this is still a Russia pick, and it is still something that I expect to be favored toward them unless something really wild happens on some of the non-stamina related parts of this map. We've seen some people breaking on little aim, or we've seen some people breaking on a slider stream or something along those lines. So those sorts of little mistakes can happen, but I think they're a little less likely because these are teams that are very, very good on these types of maps. Or you can just fall off of a stream like Chaconi did just there.
Yeah, entirely possible on a map like this where the flow aim is non-trivial. This is some high spacing on a lot of these streams, a little bit of acceleration and deceleration as well. The Crease finding the next set of misses there in much the same way, followed by Apostle. Everybody having a little bit of jitters on this map as we get into it. It's a three-way full combo, though, for Romania here at the start. Only about a third of the way in. This is a relatively short map, though, only 2 minutes long. So a third of the way in, 500 combo is still a pretty big portion of this map overall. We'll see how long these teams are able to hold on to the full combos. Identical supporting combo on Lucrece and Apostle right now. Chaconi down a little bit of combo is what's giving the score lead over to Romania right now. Notably lower AC on Rolly for Romania compared to the rest of the lobby. Everybody else on 98, 99% accuracy. No other notable difference in the AC. We get into this sort of finger control and aim consistency focus section. Nobody really having any major troubles with this part of the map, it looks like. And now we get into the long streams. We get into some of the finger control at the 2/3 mark right here. This part of the map, those rhythms are not easy to sight read, but everybody hitting them, getting the practice in, and now we're into, once again, just long streams and the flow aim requirement here at the end of the map. There goes Totono Diamond.
And Rolly and Luke. Oh my goodness, Romania just fell apart. Any chance that they had of taking this as a break point just fell by the wayside instantly with the triple reset. That lead rockets over to the side of Russia. They could not afford that. Yes, Apostle and Chaconi break, but Tester and Vacman still holding, looking very comfortable. Vacman 99.4 AC. Tester breaks on the very ending, but what was going to be a very close map became all of a sudden a 300k win for Russia just in the matter of moments with the triple break for Romania. Eternum comes in, does his job with a very solid AC FC for himself, but team-wide just could not afford to break the way they did. And we're still tied. It's just 3-3. These teams looking pretty evenly matched on the last couple picks after the early break points.
And that's not a bad score for Romania at all. 990k for Eternum on the 99% full combo. The score would have beaten Germany, would have beaten Poland, would have beaten Canada, and would have beaten France. But not enough against Russia, who is solidly number 2 and number 3 on this map over the semifinals weekend now.
The impressive tapping team continues to be impressive on tapping. And yeah, I mean, it's what you expect out of Russia. But the thing is, it's not as simple as just saying we're good at tapping and, you know, everybody says, okay, you guys win the point. You're good at tapping, you win the point, we're not going to bother playing. You still have to go out and perform, you know, as the quote goes, you know, that's why they play the games. That's why we go out and play the maps, is because you have to show it as well as, you know, having it on paper. And they did that. So now we go back over to a pick from Romania with the score tied up 3-3. So we have 2 picks left per team. Things start to get a little more compressed. The nerves start to build just a little bit more as this match stays very, very close into the later stages. And you start to take maybe just a little more time thinking about these picks, because if you're Romania, you do still probably want to go into those gimmicky types of maps, but the list thereof starts to get a bit shorter. You've got Nomad 3, Nomad 4, you've got Free Mod 4, and that's what they're going to go, is that Free Mod 4. So we're going to get down for Team Romania, which is, I think, the pick that I would have expected them to actually go when they lost the break point on Free Mod 1. I more expected that to be a Free Mod 4 there, so to see them pick this here just a little bit later on is no surprise at all to me.
Yeah, this is a pretty solid pick. Even just looking for, you know, the opposing team scores, Russia is number 6 and 7 on the map out of 8 total scores. So almost everybody outperforms Russia on this Free Mod 4, statistically speaking. And I think that's largely due to the fact that this map has a really, really big reading component. There's so many subtle shifts in rhythm that don't look the part in this map, and it becomes so much more difficult to properly parse how you are supposed to tap. Yes, there's that finger control component. Yes, there's a little bit of a speed component in some parts of this map where you get the 1-6, where you get, you know, 1-8 triples and doubles in this map, but a lot of it boils down to, can you read the changes in rhythm well enough to either properly tap or mash through them and keep your combo together? Because at the end of the day, that's what matters, right? We always talk about OWC as a combo game, and regardless of accuracy, if you can read this map and parse the rhythms and know how much to mash or how much to tap, That's what's going to get you the good scores on this one. And I think that's a large part of why you see teams like South Korea be extremely good on this map, like France be extremely good on this map. Akoro aside, Vroom is also full comboing that map for them. Thunder had a 770k on the hidden, right? These are reading players who are really solid on this sort of map because they can understand and play through these rhythms in a meaningful way and keep their combo together. So looking at the reading players on Romania and the finger control players on Romania to put up solid scores on this, and looking to some of the players on Russia to outperform themselves from last weekend, specifically Ciccone and Welter had a tough time with this. Subbing in Vitya now for Welter on the side of Russia, I think also makes sense. Vitya, a very, very strong reading player, very strong gimmick player for Russia, formerly known as Okinatori. A lot of people may remember them from 2020 and earlier as an incredibly strong rank-restricted tournament player.
Yeah, I miss Okinotori. That name was so iconic in like 4-digit tournaments a few years ago. Everybody knew who he was. I mean, the name change aside, it's been an interesting route for him. But yeah, I think it's interesting to see and to hear the results of Russia's performances on this last week, right? Because with a couple of the players on that team, you would expect them to do okay because they have really good finger control. But then you get into the part of it where it's about reading as well, and that's where it starts to fall apart just a little bit. You know, it's more valuable, right, to get like a 94 AC FC than it is to get maybe a 96 AC with a bunch of breaks in some of the rhythm changing sections, just because you'll build up so much more score with those big combos. So we'll see how the teams kind of end up faring this time around. You're going to see probably a very good score out of Badu. You're probably going to see a pretty good score out of somebody like a Satono Diamond. But, you know, some of those other players are a little bit bigger question marks. Rosé with the early break, Vitya and Din with a couple of early breaks as well. Ciccone on Hard Rock is an interesting one to me. I don't know that I expected him to be on the Hard Rock on this. You may know whether or not he was before. I'm not sure. But doing well so far. We'll see how he can hold it together. Vacman under tapping, and that is a pretty sizable lead for Romania. They have a triple FC against just one.
Yeah, I think that probably seals this pick for Romania, and the reason I say that is because Vacman is the only player on Russia who consistently found high scores last weekend, had 890k both times they played this on the Nomad. I think sort of their guaranteed high score player on this Fremod pick. That said, we do see another break for Satono Diamond, Badu and Eternum, however, both holding on to the full combos here, and there's good supporting combo on Vitya and Din right now for Ciccone, but that is again a Hard Rock score, and as we saw on the other Fremod pick on Fremod 1, modded full combos much harder to hold on to. There goes Eternum, as I say it once again on the Hard Rock. Those modded FCs, man, on Fremod. This is why when you get to the later rounds, you see more teams put their best players onto no mod so that they can guarantee a high score with the high combos and maybe see somebody tank some of those mods instead of prefer them like on some other teams in Fremod. Badu now really putting the team on his back here. There's better supporting combo on all of Russia, and this score lead might just go over because of all of that supporting combo. Look at it go over there. Din finally finds another break for Russia, and in spite of Vacman finding that drop on the no mod full combo, Vitya has had a fantastic recovery on the hit-in. Ciccone has popped off here with the Hard Rock, and this may just be enough combo to earn them the break point on Romania's pick.
This is such a huge point in the match for them to try to put this break point together as well. The backing combo coming in so clutch. Ciccone with the Hard Rock FC, and they get a big amount of backing score. That's a 648k from Vitya. That's 455 from Din, the worst performer. Vacman, that one break away, would have been an FC with 97 AC. Drops down to 581k instead. But look at the Romania side. They had two players under 500k. Yes, Badu had the FC, but they didn't get what they needed out of the other players. And this is sort of the route that was the concern if you are a Romania fan, was that the depth of Russia was just going to be stronger. Their players filling in for maps, liable to perform maybe a little bit better here and there, and it can be enough for a break point. And now it does. So it goes over to Russia. They take the 4-3 lead. Now they've got options. They've got DT1, Fremod 2, both still available to them for this, which is going to be the Fremod, or excuse me, the DT1. And this has been a pick that Russia is traditionally quite strong on, especially when you increase the tapping aspect like this DT1 does this week. awkward aim and a fair amount of streaminess compared to a lot of DT1s that are more pure aim, favors Russia just a little bit more and could take them to a match point if they win it.
Yeah, we'll see whether they're able to keep up similar performances to what they put up on this map earlier in the weekend. They were able to beat both France and China on this map. That said, France and China were the worst and second worst scores on the map over the weekend. Russia performing about middle of the road on this pick, honestly speaking, looking at the rest of the scores. Above 3 million both times, however. So if you're not getting that consistent 3 million as Romania, you probably start to get worried about this pick, because that is what Russia has been getting on this map twice in a row. And with how Russia just performed on that pre-mod 4, that was their best score. They beat both of their other scores from earlier in the weekend during semifinals. So if you are Romania right now, you're looking at Russia and saying, okay, they may actually perform a little bit better than what they have already done. You're looking at probably above 3 million, and can you beat that type of score? We did see Romania get really, really good scores on that DT3. You have to assume similar members are going to want to go in for this DT1. You see Satono Diamond, you see Eternum, you see Lucrece, probably Rolly as a fourth here for Romania. Looking for any fourth player. There we go. There's Rolly. Back in once again after the DT3 score for Romania, getting them that early break point. Let's see how this goes. Romania is popping off. They are having a really good day today. They are having a really good match versus Russia. In spite of that breakpoint on free mod 4, I think they are still generally having a good time with a lot of these picks. So let's see what they can do versus a Russian team that has looked consistent on this map, but not as high of a skill cap as some of the other teams.
Yeah, I think consistent but not unbeatable would be the way I would look at this map for Russia. And you know, we talk about one of the teams or the other maybe having a good day. You know, Romania has lost 2 free mods that you would expect that skill set to be one that would favor them, but they did take a break point on a double time already. So maybe that's the skill set that they're looking better on than expected, whereas free mods, the skill set they're looking worse on than expected. It's a little bit of a role reversal perhaps in some aspects for, you know, those skill sets that we think trend one way or another. But this is something that always seems to favor Russia. They're going to just be expected, as you were saying, to get, you know, a 3 to 3.2, maybe even higher score on this, just based on how they've done on it previously. So Romania's got to be thinking of a score. They've got to have a number in mind. And it's going to be a tough one to achieve with the early break from Rolly coming out, as well as a very early break from Satono Diamond. Rolly not having the best of time. Maybe a little bit of a fill player syndrome on a couple of these picks, but those breaks from Ciccone and Din mean that Romania is going to have the combo advantage. They can take the lead right back.
Yeah, this map, really, really tricky at the start. You saw so many people break at the intro there because it just kind of throws you right into it. There's not really a lot of leeway for players who aren't ready for this sort of pick, but now you should be warmed up on this pick for all of these players. You should be ready to go, and this is where you start to really think a lot of these breaks are more impactful. We're halfway through the map into the second TI time. Romania on bigger combo. There goes Voprosov as well. It's only Vakman now on the full combo for Russia against the two-way full combo for Lucrece and Eternum. Near three-way with Satono Diamond's reverse choke. And this is looking more and more like that DT3 we saw earlier. Too early to say that this is locked up for Romania. You saw what happened on that free mod 4. There goes Lucrece and Eternum. Both FCs gone, but there goes Vakman's FC as well. Ciccone and Din, now just Ciccone holding the combo for Russia. If Din was able to hold there was the potential for a comeback score, but Satono Diamond is able to hold the reverse choke for Romania and will be able to keep the score on their side, even if Satono Diamond breaks. It's only Ciccone on about a half-map combo right now for Russia. Impeccable accuracy for Ciccone, 99.75 act, but no combo on the play. And that is going to be the deciding factor here. Satono Diamond holding on to the combo. Ciccone going to find the miss at the end. And that about does it. 4-4 tied up once again for these two teams. Every time we see a breakpoint, it's just traded right back. And these two teams are just about as closely matched as you can get on so many of these maps. Extremely close pick there, let's be clear, because if Satono Diamond finds any miss anywhere in that map, it goes the way of Russia by a pretty slim margin. but is able to hold on to the one missed reverse choke, and that is massive for Romania, keeping it tied up.
Yeah, that one's huge for the program right there. Satono Diamond with a remarkably good play. It looked a little worrisome when he broke at the very beginning, but clearly that was just to get the nerves out of the way. That's that reverse choke factor for no nerves. In, Ciccone, as you discussed, having the really good accuracy, but the misses are very impactful. And this match just doesn't make any sense anymore. Russia has lost 2 tapping heavy DT picks, and Romania has lost 2 awkward, reading heavy, gimmicky free mod picks. Nothing about this match makes sense now. It's just the breakpoints that are bizarre.
What do you mean? What do you mean? DT1, DT3 are aim maps, obviously.
Yep.
Obviously, aim picks.
Yep.
Aim picks, reading picks, whatever you want to call them. No, but really, Romania. You saw it on the No Mod 2 as well, right? This is a team that still has that kind of depth on these picks and the ability to take these breakpoints. They are, like you said, kind of sneaky with it because you don't really expect that of Romania, Badu being sort of the face of the country. But I feel like people need to really recognize that a lot of the players for Romania are actually just really good stream players, really good speed players. Eternum, Satono Diamond, Lucrece in particular are all really, really good at that skill set and make these types of matches possible for Romania. Russia as well, traditionally more of a mechanics-focused DT hard rock team, but when you put in a lot of players like Vitya, like Din, like Vakman, who are really strong on these sorts of gimmicky maps, and like Ciccone, who is one of the best all-rounders, one of the best 1v1 tournament players in the game, got second in Charlie's Perfect Map class earlier this year, right? There is something to be said for the strength of a player like that on a team like Russia, who has typically struggled finding that depth of roster outside of the raw speed and mechanics picks, and that type of depth enables them to still put up potentially very good scores on a map like this as well. That Hard Rock 3, very, very few picks on Flame Wall this weekend in the semifinals. It was picked twice in USA versus South Korea and Romania versus China. Romania beating China on it, but not beating either the US or South Korea, picking it here into Russia, a team that does like their Hard Rock and that is okay on the alt maps, but I think, again, looking to Badu to put on the carry pants here, as he often does on these more aim control, gimmick-focused picks.
Yeah, aim control alt has become kind of Badu's calling card, right? Because a lot of times the team that he's on doesn't get to play reading maps. They don't necessarily get to play tech maps because literally he by himself influences those picks and bans so much. So his kind of secondary skill set of being a ridiculously good aim control and alt map player gets called into play, and he performs really, really well on maps like this very routinely. I believe he was probably the top scorer in their match against China on this. I can't imagine it really being anyone else. And yeah, he was the number 3 scorer overall on the week behind Karcher and Utami, who are, of course, probably two of the 4 best players in the entire tournament. So we're looking to him to carry again for Romania. They're putting this match kind of in his hands after taking it out. You were talking about, the perception of Romania as Badu as the face of their country, but we kind of have to reassess that a little bit in matches like this where he can come in and carry certain picks, but the rest of the team is equally important on a lot of the other maps, and we do see that happening here where he's coming in and holding one of the 2 FCs on that side against just 1 FC now. 3 breaks already in the early goings from Russia. Ciccone, the only full combo remaining. Badu and Lucrece both holding early on. This one is decently long, 3.5 minutes, quite consistent in difficulty, so you do have plenty of time to build those combos back up. But Romania is going to feel good about a little bit of an early lead here, especially with this being their last pick.
Yeah, this map's hard. This map's really hard. There's only 2 picks on this map for a reason, now 3 with this match, but it's hard to be consistent on something like this, where the difficulty is so high and so consistently high all throughout the map. It really calls into question just how well you can play something like this, and whether, this type of patterning, if this level of difficulty is easy for you, you tend to find consistently high scores on this sort of map. But if this is a challenge at all for you, you're going to find lots and lots of breaks, and that's why, the 3rd best score on the weekend is only a 760k from Badu as of the end of the semifinals weekend, or the formal end of the semifinals weekend, because this map's hard! You see just so many breaks coming through for everyone on both teams. Apostle and Vitya in particular, they're having a lot of trouble on this map. The recovery for Satono Diamond and Eternum looking really, really solid for Romania. Lucrece still on a full combo alongside Badu for them. Chikoni on the only SC for Russia right now. Apostle continuing to trade breaks now with Satono Diamond. So less of a supporting combo for Romania existing at the moment. It's Welter and Eternum with big supporting combos, but that extra FC is just doing so much for this score lead. It is already almost a 400,000 score lead, and there goes Chikoni's FC for Russia. Unless we see a full team collapse for Romania, this is likely to go their way, as Welter now the only high combo on the side of Russia at all versus Lucrece and Badu still on the FC. Eternum is going to drop, but it's just not going to matter. This is dominance on the pick from Romania. Badu will actually be the first to drop the FC between him and Lucrece, but Lucrece still going on the full combo, and again, you see these other three carry players for Romania, Satono Diamond, Lucrece, and Eternum, popping off and influencing the match in ways that often goes not spoken about, not talked about, because of how big of an influence Badu has on the picks and bans. But look at the influence on the match from these other three players and on the score lead, 500k and climbing for Romania on their last pick.
This was clearly a very, very good pick for Romania. It's the sort of thing that they just had players who are comfortable with. Huge shout outs to Lucrece who might be able to pull off this FC. Let's see if he can just avoid breaking at the very, very end, and he does. And that is the second FC on the map for the week. Behind after Karcher. I think Utami had a slider break very near the ending. So you put in Lucrece and Badu on this pick, the last pick for your team of the match. Worst case scenario here, the other team has a pick for the match. Best case scenario, you give yourselves a match point. And Lucrece comes through in the clutch with that full combo, Badu backing him up with another solid score on the map, just one break. And now things are very scary because it's last pick for Russia. But men, shoutouts to, as you were discussing through that map, the backing players from Romania who come off just really key, who are so important and go so under-discussed a lot of the time. We like to talk about Badu because he has been that historical member of Team Romania who has, as Dio said, influenced their picks and bans for as long as he's been playing. But it is the other members of the team that are the reason why they're here, why they're able to put forth these really great showings. And they did that there. And now it's Russia's last pick, and they're under a lot of pressure because it's match point down. It's presumably has to be free mod 2. I don't know what else this could be.
Hard Rock 1. They picked it twice last weekend. They picked it both times. Actually, sorry. No, they picked it both times into France and into China. They won it versus France and lost it versus China. But this is another pick that really has not been all that popular, similar to Flame Wall. I feel like the Hard Rock 1 pick could be what's being discussed for Russia right now. Remember, they took that breakpoint on the Free Mod 1. They have players who can go in for this type of pick. And throughout the tournament, and throughout past years as well, Russia has been a very, very good Hard Rock aim team. Now, it doesn't often extend to the Hidden and the No Mod and the Free Mod, but they are often a very, very good Hard Rock consistency team. So I can see them picking the Hard Rock 1 here as well. That said, I still think it's probably the Free Mod 2, like you said, TMG. I mean, this is a team that has been picking into the speed all match long, and it has backfired on the DT3 and DT1, but you can't lose confidence if you are Russia, because on paper, that is still one of your strongest picks.
And Free Mod 2 is another one of those maps that we've really seen very little of. We have very small amount of information and data for that map. It was picked in Hong Kong versus Canada, and it was picked by, I'm assuming, by Russia against China, where they won it by 460k. So it's a map that they have won in the past. I mean, I guess at the same time, they also, won a couple of those DTs in the past. So maybe, it is that question that you brought up of maintaining confidence in a skill set that you're traditionally strong on, but maybe aren't performing at your best today. Hard Rock aim versus free mod speed versus, I'm not really sure what else this could feasibly be. I don't see this being...
I don't know. There's not anything else.
I don't really see this being a Nomad 3 after the way Hard Rock 3 just went, which is, Nomad 3 easier, but still is within that kind of aim control alt skill set. Nomad 4, which actually is just not something that these teams play. Romania played it, Russia didn't. So it's going to be the Hard Rock 1, though. So they are going to go away from the heavy tapping mechanics and go into a more overall consistency-free Hard Rock pick. It's going to be... it has aim, it has streams. It's kind of an all-around type of pick.
You know what? I can kind of see this pick for Russia, especially after DT1, DT3 not working out. You say, okay, is the Fremod 2 more similar to those, or is it more similar to DT2? It's hard to say because there is a lot of that slider aim. There is a lot of that overall consistency on speed aim in that map as well, which Romania clearly has, right? You cannot be 100% confident you're going to win that pick as Russia. Whereas Romania picked into the Fremod 1 and lost it. Lost the Nomad 2 as well for the stream consistency. This is 195 BPM. These are not low BPM streams. So one of the players that they often want to have in on aim maps, also known as Badu, is not going to be able to play this. So you have a potentially not as strong roster for Romania on this map because Badu cannot go in for this map with the streams. He will break, he will lose the combo, he will lose the act, and he will bottom score probably on this map because of that. Despite obviously having the aim for the rest of it. So you need somebody like Rolly probably to come in for this map on the side of Romania and put up a solid score for them as that fourth player. The remaining three are still going to be good at it, though. Eternum, Lucrece, Satona Diamond, all good Hard Rock players, all good stream players, and all good enough aim players where you're not going to expect them to really have a ton of trouble with this map. So this is still somewhat of a toss-up pick for Russia, but it's something that they have used to great effect in the semifinals before, and they're looking to do it again here. Tournament life on the line for a chance at the tiebreaker and for a chance at top 6 in the World Cup.
This is the make or break, right? You win this as Russia, you force the TB. Romania wins this, they advance onward. We've talked a lot in the past about Russia getting to semifinals week and then often not having the greatest of time. You'll see them kind of, for whatever reason, not winning matches in this round. And so maybe trying to break that little bit of a wall. But Romania has had such a good performance, especially from the players who are in on this map. Eternum and Satono Diamond are two of the three best performing players in this match if you look at the current match cost score through this point. So it's incredibly valuable to have them both in on this. Rolly, down towards the bottom, is one of those kind of fill players who comes in for stuff that, is pretty difficult. You're not going to often have the greatest of performances on those, but still able to perform on Hard Rock like this. Same with Lucrece, who unfortunately does find that early break. So Romania's kind of got a decent roster for themselves on a map like this, at a stage like this in this match. Russia, though, you've got Tester, who's very good at aim. You've got Voprosov, who's been performing, pretty well. Chikoni and Vakman, who are expected to be the carries, actually the ones breaking early on this, so we'll see if they can recover. But with so much on the line, the nerves start to become a factor as well. So you got to take that into account also. There's a lot riding on this, and there's a lot of factors influencing what could happen.
That said, it's pretty evenly matched right now. It's a two-way full combo for both of these teams. Eternum and Rolly versus Voprosov and Testrapivka. Testrapivka and Voprosov, both sort of those fill players, like you mentioned, for Russia. Not really the carry players who are in for every map, like Chikoni and Vakman. So the specialty players being relied upon here for Russia now with these FCs halfway through. Rolly is going to drop one of the FCs for Romania. That is huge. Lucrece is on a big supporting combo, but can only really match the score coming out of Vakman at the moment. You have better supporting combo on Chikoni than on Satono Diamond as well. Turnum drops as well, and that is a full team wipe now for Romania. No FCs remaining for them. Voprosov and Testrapivka still holding on to combo. Lucrece is going to drop as well now, and that is zero combo to speak of on the side of Romania. Vakman's going to drop, but it just does not matter. 400,000 score and climbing as Russia, yes, they're going to find some misses here at the end for Vakman and Voprosov, but they will secure the tiebreaker against Romania. There's zero combo to speak of for Romania to take advantage of any potential breaks for Russia. And it all comes down to a best of one, this one guy. It is that best of one on the tiebreaker. Once again, this Friday evening rematch delivering here for Romania and Russia. And we talked at length during the week about this match, about how close this could be, as both of these teams, really different players, really different skill sets, but still so evenly matched in terms of the skill cap and the depth of roster. And this is what happens when you get these two teams playing at their best, full roster, motivation high, and ready to get into the top 6, because that is what is riding on the line on this tiebreaker.
Man, you see this Friday match lined up, right? It's this filler kind of match. It's this carryover match that nobody expected to even happen in the first place. And you come into this and there's two possible ways that you kind of think of it going mentally, right? It's either going to be somebody's not having the best time, somebody doesn't perform at their best, because it's a weekday. Who expects to be playing an OWC match on a Friday evening like this? And, you end up with a one-side affair. Or it can just live up to all of the hype and all of the expectations of it and go all the way to the tiebreaker. And I'm just about as excited as it gets by the fact that it ended up going the latter route. And we do get to see this tiebreaker now for another time. We all know what happened last time this tiebreaker. The only time it was played originally, it was the United States versus South Korea with that ludicrous carry performance for South Korea out of Karcher and Parisia. Will we see another big carry play on this again from somebody on these teams? Is somebody just going to come up the individual hero? Because on a tiebreaker, that's something that can so often happen. These tiebreakers are very difficult, and the consistency aspect of them is so tough to be comfortable with. But when you have players playing at the level of this match, it is something that becomes a little bit more realistic. But once again, you ask the question of Romania, what are you capable of doing possibly without one of your best players? Because this is 200 BPM and there's decent amounts of tapping and streams in it. So possibly once again, not seeing Badu in for a map that could determine the outcome of the match. Whereas Russia gets to roll with whatever roster they want because they don't have anybody on their team who's limited in the way that Badu is limited for Romania. And again, that could play a role in the outcome, just like it did on that Hard Rock one, not having him in, not being able to contest that pick. Now we go into a tiebreaker. Again, maybe not having him in, maybe not having trouble with this pick.
I think it has to come down to how these other players are performing right now. You look at how this match has gone, and you have to shout out a few particular people. Satono, Diamond, Eternum, and Lucrece have been solid rocks for Romania. Rosé is going to come in for the last map for them. This is, at the moment, a team of 6. By the way, these are the only 6 players who have played are these 4, Badu and Rolly, for Romania. So with 6 players, they are pulling off this tiebreaker scenario and looking to advance into the top 6 of the OWC World Cup this year. Ciccone, Tester Pivka, Vakman, and Welter in for Russia. Welter has only played 3 maps in this match so far, has not had a standout star performance for this team, but the team trusts him. Talk to some of the people involved with the creation of the Russian OWC roster, and they point out Welter as somebody to keep an eye out, especially for future years, for the growth of this team. So you have to assume they have the trust in this player to put them in for the tiebreaker and to see them pop off, as this is a very difficult map. You see everybody finding breaks on both of these teams. Lucrece, Rosé, Ciccone, and Vakman, the only players to keep the full combos together, as everyone else suffering the accuracy drops, the combo drops that come with the really difficult higher BPM 1/3 tech section going on at the beginning of this map. And this is a type of tiebreaker that really kind of goes all over the place. You get 220 BPM stamina, you get 200 BPM streams, you get lots of aim consistency, lots of slider reading, lots of 1/3 and 1/6 in this map, and it just kind of goes all over the place. And that's why you see these all-rounders for Romania in, once again, in Lucrece, Tournament, Satono, Diamond. The same going, of course, for Ciccone and Vakman, those two on the full combo, and the two probably most well-rounded players on that Russian roster, excuse me.
Yes, this is such a hard map, just in every aspect. You see a couple breaks early on. There's Rosé and Satono Diamond falling for Romania. There's Tester falling for Russia. We've seen in the past, there are so many places that you can just find little breaks. There's Vakman breaking. That is, I believe, wasn't FC, right? So it's a 2v2 on the map at this point. You have Ciccone and Welter against Lucrece and Eternum. It's like the minimal amount of combo advantage, but there's Lucrece falling, and that is the FC now gone for Romania. So we're watching Ciccone, who has been a player over the past year or two, has really been on the up and up, has made a name for himself in a few tournaments, and is now trying to do the same thing in the World Cup here as the lone FC remaining in the entire lobby. Just past the 1/3 mark. There are places you can break very easily, even on these slower sections. We've got to be careful. You have to have that aim control unlocked, but Ciccone and Welter can start to maybe take a little bit of a lead, but there's a break from Tester. So it's kind of tempering, right? Anytime you see a break, it just gets tempered, because it tempers the advantage, I should say, that FC and that big backing combo help provide. Tester clearly not the most happy with that cursor dance, but you take a second here, you get to see what's going on. It's 54k in favor of Russia, just under halfway through. Lucrece breaking again doesn't really matter. We're watching a tournament, we're watching Rosé, we're watching Satono Diamond. Those are the big members for Romania right now that need to hold and hope for some breaks from Russia to try to get back into this map.
And here's that 200 BPM stream second you're talking about. Vakman going to find a couple breaks for Russia. Rosé and Eternum and Ciccone all going to find breaks there. Satono Diamond and Welter, the only two combos to hold on here. 700 versus 1200 combo. It is still that combo advantage for Russia right now on Welter. The young player coming in, I believe, for the first time in this OWC World Cup for Russia, putting up what could be the carry score for Russia. Does find the slider break, however, and Satono Diamond now with control over the lobby once again for Romania. If he can hold, this could be the upset win for Romania. A lot of people expecting Russia to come out on top in this matchup, and I think the expected result for a lot of players as well. But Satono Diamond now with control over Romania's destiny. A big break for Russia. Rosé and Lucrece as well, holding pretty good combo for Romania on the backing scores. Vakman doing what he can here for Russia, but it's down to a 50k score lead and shrinking in Russia's favor. We're getting into the last quarter of this tiebreaker, and it's going to come down to the wire, I think. The score lead is shrinking very slowly because this is such a long match, such high max combo in this pick as well, that 1,000 combo doesn't actually mean all that much. You have good supporting combo getting built back up for Ciccone and Tester Pivka. Welter going to find the break once again, but there's the score lead swapping over to Romania. No breaks for Satono Diamond, Lucrece, and Rosé right now. It's Vakman against the world as Romania seemingly putting on their best JoJo cosplay. The world right now for Romania is their oyster in the last quarter of this map, as they have high combo on all four members.
This is such an outrageous team performance in the entire back half of this map from Romania. We have not seen a break from them in so much combo. Rosé finally breaks, but it's matched by Tester, so it doesn't even matter. It would have to be a complete collapse at the end here from Romania to have this match go any way other than them closing out a victory. And Satono Diamond, this is his redemption arc. We saw what happened on Saturday. Did not look like he was there at all, was not performing, did not play many of the maps, and now he shows up for this Friday match. He puts up a 1800 combo on the tiebreaker, finally breaks, but it's after his team has established 100k
Everyone
lead.
is gone.
And there is no combo. The ending of the map is upon us. Even with the 1400 combo from Vakman and the 300 combo from Tester, there's just not the time left anymore. And this is going to be Romania by 100k on the tiebreaker, taking the point and advancing to top 6. They will move on into the finals weekend for the first time in their nation's history in OWC World Cup, on the back of a remarkable team-wide performance. Satono Diamond, 580k, one of the best scores we've seen on that tiebreaker, and the upset is in. It has happened. It is a 6-5 Romania win. Russia are eliminated.
And this is the best that we have seen Romania look ever in the World Cup. This is the first top 6 finish for Romania in any OWC World Cup in history. Obviously their best finish since last year when they made it to 8th place. They once more top their best result and make it into the finals for the first time in their country's history, off the back of, as you said, a magnificent score on that tiebreaker from Satono Diamond. Nanoya with 580k, putting up the second best score on the tiebreaker this weekend, second only to Karcher's 590k on that map, and really rewriting history here for Romania, putting themselves on the map as one of the best countries in the OWC World Cup.
And besides the redemption arc for Satono Diamond in himself, obviously last Saturday wiped clean off the board. He gets a fresh slate for this match and comes out and makes the best of it. But the entire team performance from Romania, one of the best we've ever seen. The expectations for this country were so high, I think, coming in after getting top 8 last year and making an even stronger on paper roster this year. And they're going to manage to live up to that now. And once again, I mean this with all the love in my heart, Russia in semifinals. Year after year, they get to semifinals, and they unfortunately just find the smallest stumbling block placed in their way. The road to top 6 is blocked once again for Russia. But man, oh man, Romania, just an amazing performance. And now, well, unfortunately for them, they have the United States waiting on the other side in the finals, which is not a sight that anybody wants to see in finals. No. United States historically one of the best, if not the best, scaling teams. They're always up there, but Romania takes a lot of positives away from this, winning this match in clutch fashion and getting their first top 6.
Yeah, commiserations to Russia, truly. This is still their best performance in any World Cup in the last 3 years. The last time they beat the semifinals curse was in 2019, and in 2020 and 2021 they finished 9th, 12th in the first losers bracket matchup in semis, so they do still secure a better placement than 2020 or 2021, but again, just not quite able to make the cut here against Romania, overperforming for themselves and rewriting themselves into history as the best team Romania has ever had in the World Cup. That is going to do it for us for now. We will be back here tomorrow with Romania versus the United States in the losers bracket of the World Cup at 18 UTC. Same time tomorrow, followed up directly by Canada versus Poland at 19 UTC directly afterwards. We'll also have a show match going on after that at 20 UTC, so you got 3 matches right in a row tomorrow, starting same time right back here at 18 UTC on twitch.tv/OSU Live. And we'll have a couple of other matches on Sunday, notably that winners bracket finals between South Korea and Germany, along with the potential matchup between the winner of Poland-Canada and the winner of United States versus Romania sometime later in the day. It looks like 19 UTC for that match. A couple of other housekeeping things. If you want to support your favorite teams in the World Cup, you can still buy banners on the O store. You can also support the tournament directly for the first time in World Cup history using Open Collective. There should be links to that in chat coming out in just a moment. Anything else? Any closing thoughts, T1G, for one hell of a matchup that we just had between those two teams?
I am just in shock at the way that this match went overall. I don't think people expected this to wend its way through the picks the way it did and to have the results that it did. I think a lot of people favored Russia to win this, but Romania, with their backs against the wall, came out and did what they needed to do to get that win. And I'm proud of them, honestly, for overcoming the loss last week and managing to put on this sort of performance and to make their first ever top 6. So all the pressure in the world was levied upon them, and they managed to come out the other side even stronger. And that's going to do it, though. Amazing match today. We've got some amazing matches tomorrow. For Dio, I've been this one guy. Thank you for watching this one. We'll see you tomorrow as the OWC World Cup 2022 finals week will be upon us. You do not want to miss out. 18 UTC tomorrow. We'll see you there. But until then, have a great evening.